So the second amp we're going to look at in today's shootout is the Vox Cambridge. This is a beautiful amplifier. It has more of that classic look, and it also sports this Nutube technology. So it's got a valve in it or a tube in it to help with that compressed, saturated tube tone, classic tone. It's another practice amp with a 12-inch speaker, but again, this thing is amazing. It has an amazing range of tones and effects built right into this. And again, I've said this before, practice amps have come a long way since 20, 30 years ago, with all the built-in effects and the ability to dial in really classic tones and a wide range of tones as well. This amp is just not limited to a Vox sound. It will also emulate a lot of other amplifier sounds. So you might even find this to be a really good studio tool also. Okay, so now looking at the top panel, we've got the amp tilted over because the controls are on the top of the amplifier, which is also good because when you're using your amplifier at home, you don't want to be down on your knees and crawling around to reach the front panel. You can just simply lean over, controls are all there, really easy to use. So just starting with all the controls from left to right. First, we've got the input jack, and then next to that is a dial, and this dial basically dials in different amplifier and cab emulations to get different tones and different sounds. So we've got your classic boutique sounds, a Vox AC30 on here, some British amp emulations, and then on the other side you've got a double rectifier, which will be an absolutely filthy tone, and then a line input tone. So this will color your sound less like a guitar amplifier, more like a hi-fi speaker, I suppose. Next to that, we've got your standard gain and tone controls. So your input or your preamp gain, and then treble and bass to determine how bright or how full your sound is, and then a volume dial to attenuate that. Below that volume dial is also this power level, and this is a really interesting feature of this amplifier because you can dial it right from off through to 25 watts through to the full 50 watts. So if you need more power, say if you're taking this to a rehearsal or if you're, again, on a stage, you'll be able to find the volume that you need from this amplifier. Then moving back, there's a tap button for tapping in your delay or your modulation times on your effects. And then here we have two effect dials. So you can choose between different types of delay and reverb, tape delay, or a digital delay, or an electronic delay, or a spring, or a plate reverb. And then we've got our modulation effects, chorusing and flanging, and there's a tremolo all the way on the other side here. So you could have a delay tone or a nice spring reverb with a tremolo sound for a classic vintage vibe, vintage tone. So just quickly looking at the back of this amplifier, it's an open back design. We've got a 12-inch Celestion speaker in there. Here's the little power cable. It's specific to this amplifier. There's also this speaker out jack here. So maybe you could plug into a cabinet with 2 or 4 Celestion 12-inch speakers. And you'll notice this USB printer cable fixture on this amp, and that's because this amplifier is actually an audio interface. So you can record straight from this amplifier into your computer, USB out, straight into your software. And what a brilliant tool to be able to listen to yourself practicing or get those song ideas down, get those demos down. Maybe you can record your actual guitar parts for your band with this USB interface. Maybe you can write a love song. So let's have a listen to what this amp can do. First up, the clean sound. Here I've dialed in a crunchier tone, so I've got this on a British amplifier setting. I've dialed a little bit of the trebles out because I'm really noticing that this amp has that Vox, that fizzy, crunchy saturation, which is just absolutely beautiful. So here's something a little bit crunchy on this amp. All right, so now I've dialed in the double rectifier setting on this amplifier, and let's see how filthy we can get it. There's also a built-in tuner on the top section of this amplifier. So if I hold down the tap delay here, and then over on the top left, we've got this tuner, and we are ready for rock. I'm just going to have a quick play with some of the effects here. I'm going to check out this tape delay. I have a bit of tape echo. Maybe we can add some flanging to that tape echo. So I've got echo and flanging. Yeah, I think you could get some really wild and wacky combinations in here. Let's check out a bit of tremolo and a bit of spring reverb for a classic swampy tone. Man, John Fogerty would love that. So to summarize, the Vox Cambridge 50 is a 50-watt amplifier, has a 12-inch Celestion speaker, has lots of different amp and cab sims and built-in effects, much like the other amps that we're going to see today. But I think one interesting characteristic about this amp is that the saturation and the overdrive has that classic Vox fizziness and crunchiness to it, a lot different from the Fender amp, and also the USB out. So this amp being its own sound card for recording ideas, I think is a great feature. So you could use this at home, in rehearsals, in the studio, on a stage, mic'd up. I think this is another great little amplifier.